All right, Sarah, we're live now. Please make me the co-host, so I'll be the TAing here.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good.
Perfect.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hi, Carl. How are you today?
Hi.
Thanks for joining me. Hi, iPad. Hello, Irene. Hello, Deanne and Nelda. Welcome. Welcome. We're going to be looking at finding and sharing fun ideas on Pinterest today. Carl, do you have a Pinterest account?
No, I don't really know what it is.
Okay, good. So you're in the right spot then. That's great. As others are joining, I'd be curious to know if you already have a Pinterest account and if you're just looking for more information or if you're really looking for the nuts and bolts. Let me know what you're thinking as you join today. That helps me kind of define what I focus on as I go forward.
Right.
Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Nancy. Deanne, I see your mic's off. Are you going to share with me? What are you hoping to learn today?
I'm going on a trip, a 15-day trip, and I have kind of made out my itinerary and all my hotel stops and all my national parks and everything. I would like to put that on Pinterest because I get a lot of ideas from Pinterest, so I'd like to put my thing on there. Will you show us how to do that today?
So that's an interesting question. I have never posted my own stuff on Pinterest. So I'm going to make a note on that. I've always only of what's already. So Nelda, I might not be able to help you out with that.
That's okay. I'll still learn.
Okay, good. So I had somebody, I taught this last Saturday and there was a man in my class who had done a lot of that. So I it must be relatively easy. I just don't know myself how to do that part of it. But I will note that for future classes. Good morning, others. I see Henrietta, Carolyn, Robin. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Phyllis, now you're not iPad anymore, Phyllis. As you're coming in, let me know what your interest is today. Are you starting from scratch, or are you looking for just deeper information?
I'm looking from scratch.
Okay.
Me too.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, Deanne, you said you're starting from scratch. And what else?
If you can hear me,
I can hear you.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, you are. I can hear you perfectly.
Can you see me?
Yes, and I can see you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Carolyn, what are you hoping to learn today?
I have it, but I really don't understand it. So I would be a beginner also.
Okay, good to know. Anyone else like to chime in on that? What you're hoping I'll cover today?
I'm a bit crafty, so I might like something, something crafty.
Okay, well, Deanne, that's good to know because I'm definitely a crafter, and the majority of my boards have to do with crafts, although I do have a few other interests.
All right.
Henrietta, what are you hoping to cover today?
I don't know much about the subject, and that's why I'm around to know about.
Okay, great. All right, I think, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And so today, what I'm going to do that you'll see is I'm going to do a little bit of the PowerPoint or the slide deck that I have prepared, but then I'm going to move real quickly to demonstration. So I want to kind of give you a mental overview of it, but then I'm going to go to demonstration. And I think it's really where the demonstration is that a lot of the understanding comes from. So we'll be doing a bit of both. So this is Finding and Sharing Fun Ideas on Pinterest. And I'm Sarah. I'm your Get Set Up guide for this class. I live in Everett, Michigan. I'm a retired elementary principal after 22 years in education. I spent 2 years of my career with Michigan State University helping schools in northern Michigan who were falling behind academically, and that was certainly a highlight of my career. I, as an educator, have always loved quotes, and this is one of my favorites, and that's people do the best they can with what they know, and when they know better, they do better. And because I love education and because I love learning, this quote really resonates with me. And so I retired last June, at the end of the month in June, and I spent the summer and the fall visiting my kids, doing my Christmas crafts. I was busy, and then January hit. And if you know anything about Michigan, you know that our winters can be atrocious. And I don't love the cold and I don't love the outdoors in the winter. And so in January, I was relatively bored and I was scrolling through my Facebook feed and I noticed Get Set Up. And I started taking classes first. That was my initial experience. And then I thought, oh, this is something I could do. And so now I'm a guide. And so what I love about Get Set Up is they obviously have the same feeling about people doing better with what they know because they're really hoping to attract the older learner. And I think it's a very, very good partnership. One of the things that I'm loving, I loved it first as a learner and now I love it as a guide, is that we can learn from each other. And I think I can't really think of a class that I've led so far that I haven't learned something from someone. So that's the beauty of it, is it goes both directions. Ideally, I can see when your cameras are on. Where that's helpful to me as your guide is that I watch your facial expressions to see if you're understanding what I'm saying or if what I'm saying might be confusing you. And if I'm confusing you, I certainly want to slow down or back up and re-explain. So it's always helpful to me if you have your cameras on, but obviously if you don't have your cameras on, I certainly understand, and that's totally fine. If you're joining by live stream, and we are live stream today, the best way, I want to welcome you. I'm glad you're here. But if you want to participate fully, and especially in the two-way conversation where you can ask your questions in real time and get answers in real time, we'd love to have you join us by hopping over to the getsetup.io website and registering directly for a class. Get Set Up is not paid to promote any specific products, nor am I, but just know, as someone who's passionate about crafting, it's hard for me to talk about the craft product I use without naming them. So I want you to know that I will talk about products that I use and love, but nobody's paying me or Get Set Up to do that. You can ask questions 2 different ways. You can unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can type it in the chat box down below. And I'll try to follow the chat box, but I do have Ken here with me today, my teaching/technical assistant. And if I miss a question, Ken will bring it to my attention. So I'm very appreciative of that. If you're having trouble like hearing me, or if you're having any technical difficulties, you can also chat with Ken in the chat box and he'll help you out. Ken, would you like to say good morning?
Good morning, everyone.
There we go. I see he already also typed a greeting in the chat box, and that's down at the bottom of your screen. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say chat box, if you hover over the bottom of your screen, you'll see chat pop up, and you can talk to Ken directly in there if you need to. So this is what I'm hoping to cover today. I'm hoping that we'll cover learning the basics of Pinterest, using Pinterest for your personal use and inspiration, how to create a board with special interests for you, and how to save pins to those boards, and how you might be able to share pins with others. Is this kind of what you were expecting, or is there something else that you were hoping I might cover that you don't see on this list?
Well, it sounds like what I was asking is maybe what you're going to do, because it says save pins to your boards, and that's what I want to do, or share pins with others, which is what I want to do. So maybe you will cover it.
I might get you halfway there, Nelda. What I have not done is, for example, I do a lot of crafting, and I've not ever taken a picture of something that I've crafted and uploaded it to Pinterest. I've always only pinned but as far as sharing it, this might help you do that for sure. So there's at least something that you should be able to gather from this. Anything else that anybody else is hoping that I'll cover? All right, so what is Pinterest anyway? So it's really a combination of two words, and that's pinning something that you're interested in. So when you think about pinning an interest, think about in the olden days, let's say that you cut a recipe out of a magazine and you took a pin and you pinned it to a bulletin board. That's what this is talking about. That's kind of the big picture idea of what Pinterest is pinning something to a bulletin board. So this is a virtual bulletin board. So it's a visual discovery site for finding ideas like recipes, home designs, and DIY inspiration. My husband now has a Pinterest site. He collects jokes. He collects golfing information. He's an avid golfer. He collects political comments because he loves politics, not my thing, but he loves it. And so he's got a political board. Really the options are endless for what you can find on Pinterest anymore. So my question is, do any of you still have like a shoebox or a file folder or an other storage medium that's full of magazine articles? Does anybody else have that from back in the day? Yeah, yeah, I still do. Yeah, so that's kind of, we're gonna turn that into a virtual experience. And so I want you to think, I'm gonna do this right to left instead of left to right because it makes more sense, I think. So think of Pinterest in general, the big umbrella of Pinterest. Think of it as a file cabinet. And within that file cabinet, you have, if you've ever been much of a filer at all, this is a hanging file folder. And the hanging file folder has a big label on it. So let's pretend for a minute that our big file folder has the word recipes on it. That would be like the board, what they refer to as the board on Pinterest. Okay, then once you get into a board, you may decide that you have so many things in your board that you want to subdivide it into sections. And so I might have a section in my recipe board called desserts. And in that dessert file folder, anytime I find a recipe that I'm interested in, whether it's out on the web or whether it's because I'm browsing on the Pinterest site, I can clip or pin that recipe to my recipe section. To my dessert section on my recipe board, which is stored in my Pinterest file, big picture. So do you have any questions about that, or does that make sense? Does that kind of give you an idea or an overview of what Pinterest is virtually? Is that helpful? I see some people shaking their heads. Yes. Any questions on that?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you. Okay. So we'll go on into a little bit more detail here. And here's where I'm going to start to go into some show and tell. And I'm going to go back and forth between my slide deck and my and Pinterest itself, so I can show you in real time. Is there anybody on here who does not yet have a Pinterest account? Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know. I didn't want to do this if everybody already has an account. So to create an account, you just go to Pinterest.com. And I'm gonna go out of here for just a minute. So I'm gonna, and you can do this either on a computer or before I go out, let me just tell you this much. You can do this on a computer or you can do it on a device. To be honest, it's a little bit more work for me to do this on my computer because I do it on my phone almost exclusively. So I had to remind myself of what it looked like when I do it on a computer because I so exclusively do it on my phone. Because I do it everywhere on my phone. I tend to only do it on my computer if I'm sitting in my living room. So just know that, so if you're going to download it to a device, you have to probably find the app for it. So you would do that by going, I have Android, so I would go to my Play Store. I would search Pinterest and I would find the app and I would download it. And that's how I would do it from a device. If you got an Apple product, I think you go to your Apple store and you would do it the same way. But on your computer, you're going to go to Pinterest.com. All right, and I'm going to escape this and I'm going to go over to what it would look like if you've never been to Pinterest before. So this is the Pinterest website, the generic Pinterest website. And honestly, if you just go here and you don't log in or sign up, you're pretty limited on what you're able to do. If you want to create an account, you just go over here to this far right-hand side and you click on this sign up button. If you've already got an account, you go here and you log in. But if you're coming here for the first time, you're going to go over here and you're going to sign up. And this is going to pop up. So it's funny, it always gives me this one. I think you can see the pop-ups, right? You can see where it says, welcome to Pinterest, right? You can see, yes. And can you see this over here where it has my Get Set Up email? That's because I don't have a Get Set Up Pinterest account. I only have one in my personal email. So it always asks me this question. So I'm going to close that box. So there's a couple ways you can sign up. You can sign up with your email. That's my preferred way. Or you can continue with Facebook, or you can continue with Google. The benefit to continuing with Facebook or continuing with Google, I believe, is that it's going to ask you if you want to load your contacts. And I'm always hesitant to do that because I don't always know that all of my contacts want me to contact them through Pinterest. So I always go in through my email. And so it asks you to put in your email, create a password and put your age in. I think the age is there because they want to make sure you're over 18, to be honest. And then you would hit continue. And that's how simple it is to set up your first account. So let me just look for just 1 second at my notes and see if I need to go back to my, no, I'm going to move to navigation at this point. So I'm going to assume now that you have set up an account and you're signing in. And I'm going to take you to my personal account because that's, to me, the best place for me to do this for you. Oh, well. What I have found is everything is slower when I'm in Zoom. So what I can normally do quick, I'm gonna go out and back in. What I normally would do quickly is slower because I'm in Zoom doing it. So let me try this one more time and make sure. Let's see. Now I have to remember my password. Oh, phew. All right. So this is my feed, but it's not where I want to start you. This is my feed. I want you to notice the buttons that are across the top before we look down below. So over here in the left home tab, if you click the home tab, if you click on that, anything that you have shown interest in the past, if you've got your settings set up this way, it's gonna bring up things that are similar to things that you've searched for in the past. So for example, I do an alcohol ink class for Get Set Up. I'm using alcohol ink on glass. And yesterday I went to Hobby Lobby and I purchased some alcohol ink markers. So last night when I was on my phone, I was looking for things to do with alcohol markers. And sure enough, at the top of my feed, my home feed, I've got things that are things that I might, that Pinterest thinks I might want to pin about alcohol ink. So when you see my home page, you're seeing the page that is created by Pinterest based on my personal interests. I'll show you when we get into the settings. If you want something more general than that, you can click that off so it doesn't customize. I like it customized because I don't want to spend a lot of time. Like when I very first started using Pinterest, I got a lot of things on wardrobe, on you know, picking out the right wardrobe. Well, it's not my thing. And so I, you know, by customizing it, I get more of what I'm interested in, less of other things. Now, if I'm bored, however, and I think, oh gosh, my interests have really narrowed. I wonder what's top interest today. I might click this today button, and it's going to give, and I do that, and it's going to give me some ideas of things that I could search. So today, June, and it has the date up there, June 12th. It's saying, gosh, it's National Rosé Day. Maybe you want to look at that. Or here's some candle articles that you can look at. Or here's some, I don't even know how to pronounce that word right there. But if I wanted to do that, I could do that. And if I click on this, I'm going to get multiple ideas in that genre or in that area of interest. So that's all things that are popular on Pinterest today. Here's things that were popular yesterday. And this is not based on my interest. I'm guessing here, but I think what this is based on is what are the most popular searches of the day so far, kind of grouped into categories. So any questions so far on the home feed or today? What questions might you have about that?
How did you customize the home feed?
So I'll show you that when we get over to settings, Nancy. And if I don't hit that, remind me, and I will make sure I cover that because it should be part of what I show you in there when you're setting it up for yourself in your settings. Other questions? That's a great question. Thank you for that. All right, so if you were just setting up your homepage for the first time, or if you've been a Pinterest user for years, and you wanted to search for something, if you click on that search bar, it gives you some ideas. Again, this is going to be based on things that I've searched in the past. If you've not been in here before, I'm not sure what pops up. It might be just, you know, general things you could look at. But just like Google, you can put multiple words in here. Let's just say, so the one that I like to demonstrate, because I have a lot of craft things, is I like to look at wood projects for a sample. Now, I don't do any woodwork really, my husband does, but if I type in the words word projects, and you can type in multiple words, it's going to give me magazine-like articles on woodwork. So now I want to warn you though, there's two things that you're going to find on here. You're going to find things that you can do with woodwork. In other words, I put in the word projects. So you would assume that everything that pops up would have to do with me making something out of wood. But what it also does is it gives you things that you can buy. So let's just say I like the looks of this DIY veggie stand. And I click on that. It might tell me how to do it, or it might tell me how to buy it. I'm not really interested in buying it. I'm interested in making it. So I'm going to back out of this with that left arrow, and I'm going to add the words DIY in here, which is the shorthand for do it yourself. And if I add DIY, now I'm going to get less of the buy and more of the build. All right, so I just a little heads up on that it used to be that it was almost all, tons of it was make it yourself. Now I find that it's almost 50-50 on whether it's going to be how to do it or whether it's going to be how to buy it. So let's click on this. And let's say that this is exactly the article I was looking for. Now I hit this save button that's up here in the upper right-hand corner, and it's going to save it to my Pinterest account. And it tells me that it's saved. Now it's customizing for me. Do you see the word tiny houses right here? It asks me what I do have a tiny house board, and it's telling me we're going to save it to your tiny house board unless you tell us something different. I didn't think about that because I really don't want it in my tiny house. I wanted it on my generic board, and I should have changed it here. So let me go back out and pick a different one. So let's say that I like this wooden table. Oh, this is going to sell it to me, and I don't want to buy it, right? I want to make it, but let's just say that I want to save this pin. It's going to list for me lots of the boards that I already have. If I don't want to save it to any of those boards and I drop down, I can choose where I put it within the boards that I have. So I'm going to save it, and the save button pops up, and I'm going to save it to this your Pinterest likes instead of to that to the tiny house board. All right, what questions do you have on saving it? Notice down here that there's two buttons. There's an explore button and a shop button. If I click the shop button, I'm only going to get things to buy. I'm not going to get the how to do it. So just know that if you are interested in shopping, that's one way that you can just shop on Pinterest. But I always keep the Explore tab clicked because I'm more of a DIYer, do-it-yourselfer. All right, I want to make sure I'm not moving too fast. Any questions?
Yeah, excuse me.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. It's not to do with the Pinterest at the moment, but is there any way I can make my picture that you're putting up any bigger? I can't.
Of me, the picture of me, or the picture of the board?
Board.
Ken, can you help her with? Is it Nancy speaking?
It's Deanne.
Deanne, Ken, are you able to help Deanne with that? Deanne, do you know how to use your chat box down below?
Yeah, I think, yes, yes, I do.
Yeah. Ken will come in and help you do that. Just open that up, and Ken will chat you a message on how to do that. Are you with us, Ken? Or maybe not. I think, let me just take a stab at it. If you go up to view,
Sorry?
up on the top, if you
What,
go
am I back
up
on?
to view, in the upper,
View.
it should be maybe in the upper right corner. What
I'm
options
on a
does it
Kindle.
give you right there?
I'm on a Kindle.
Okay,
I don't know where I'm
on your
looking.
Zoom page in your upper right hand corner, does it give you a
Oh, right.
view?
Yeah, I've got a Zoom. Oh dear.
The view. Try a couple different views and see if that helps. And let me, okay. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Hopefully Ken will catch up with us and be able to help you out. Is that okay? All right. So just remember, and also just one more thing on the search bar is if you put some words in there and it's not what you want, don't be afraid to back out of it and try it a different way. And a lot of times it'll also, when you start typing, it'll, a lot of times, now it's making a liar out of me, there we go. It'll bring up potential topics. So like it, and then you can just click on one of those topics if you're interested in one of those topics. So I like it that it'll give you like suggestions right in real time. Okay, so I want to go over to this part, which is now, this is about me. So I'm going to click out of that. This over here on the upper right-hand corner, this is all specific to me. So if you click on yours, it should be different than what I see when I click on mine, but there are some similarities. So the first thing you see is you see this bell, and that is the update bell. And so I have my updates, I have them turned on. So on my phone, every day, at some point during the day, I'll get a little notification on the top of my phone that says, here's some ideas you might be interested in having to do with Alcohol Inc. And then I can search for ideas. This is Kim Vogel is somebody that I follow online. So when she posts something, I get a notification and I can click on that and see what she is posting. I have a junk journal section in my art journal board, and I was doing some searching for that, and it's saying here's some further ideas on that if you want to look. So it's kind of like here's my daughter. This is my daughter Rachel. She just had a baby in May. She created this board, this called Baby on Board. And she shared it with me. She and I collaborate on this board. And so whenever she puts something in that board, it gives me a notification, an update that she's put something in there. And then I can go and I can look at it. So it started out for her and I being a board about things that I could make for the baby, because I love to sew and crochet. And, you know, it's like, she was doing her nursery theme in bears. And so if she found something that she thought I could make that had to do with bears, she would put it in that board and I would take a look at it. Well, then we've progressed to the baby's born, and she's doing more articles on how to play with the baby, or how to make sure the baby gets good tummy time, or how the baby might sleep. And she posts those in there, and I can read those articles, and I can then have a conversation with her about how things have changed with having a baby. From my most recent birth was almost 26 years ago now. Things have changed. And so this is a way that we can have conversations around that. And this has been a wonderful experience. So that's what you get when you click on that update bell. Is anybody you're sharing a board with that posts there's going to be a notification in there. Anybody that you follow, there will be a notification in there, etc. Then you've got your inbox button. It looks like this speech bubble. And it's kind of like an email inbox, but kind of different. So I would never use this in place of email, but if Rachel wants to, she can message me when she pins something and say, hey, take a look at this and tell me what you think. This is my son. He has a Pinterest board. He'll share messages with. So we really are talking only about Pinterest when we're in here. So so that's what I'm getting in my inbox, is messages from people that I communicate with via Pinterest about ideas that we have in common And most of these are my kids. So I have 8 grown children. So Rachel, Stephen, Tanya, Becky, those are all, Chrissy, those are all my children. And we all have Pinterest boards, and we all communicate and share ideas in those boards. So that's the inbox. And then now I'm going to go to my face. I put my face in there. You know, it comes up as a blank icon. I changed it. And I customized it. My handle is sbailey1922, and I put it in there that I love anything crafty. I love to read, and I love being with family. And it tells me that I have 188 people following me, and I'm following 105. And so it's just information at that point. Now, these are all of the boards that I've created over time. So if you look at my boards, I've got a lot of boards. Okay, those are all boards that I've created and I've saved things to. Okay, now if we go back up here, I've had a Pinterest board for a very long time, in case you're wondering. If we go over here, the first board on here is called All Pins. And if I took everything out of all of these boards and put them into one spot, it would be this All Pins spot. And you can see I have 13, over time, I've saved 13,564 pins. Now, if I never organized that into boards, and if I never organized my boards into sections, I could never find anything that I saved very easily. I could find it, but it wouldn't be very easy. So that's why if you're going to use Pinterest on a regular basis, you want to have boards. And if you have a big board, like this is my American Girl board. So I have granddaughters who have American Girl dolls. And I love to sew, and I love to crochet, and I love to knit. So 10 or 15 years ago, I decided that a fun retirement thing to do would be to make American Girl doll clothes and go around to these craft fairs and sell them. I don't know that I'm still going to do that, but I have a lot of things pinned in here. So I'm going to open this board up so you can see it because it's relatively well organized. So this is my American Girl board with 1,000 pins in it, and it tells me I created 7 sections. And within my sections, I have organized them alphabetically. And I did that with drop and drag. So this was the question that came up last week. Because last week when I demonstrated this, it was not alphabetical. And I thought it was just a click. I thought it was just a click like it is in the main part, but it's not. Once you get to the sections, you can only alphabetize by dragging and dropping. And what that means is I click on my mouse pad and I drag. And if I wanted to move this to be first, oh crap. Sorry, I didn't do that right. Okay, let me do it again. So I'm gonna drop it and drag it over here. I have to wait until it's in front of that board. And then I put it there. If I didn't wait for it to get in front of that board and I hovered over this board, it would put everything from that board into that board. So making sure that button pops up to get it in see how it's made space now between accessories and tops and bottoms? If I want to move it there, I can do that. But if I'm not careful to wait for that space to open up, it's just going to take that section and put it in another section. So I'm going to put that back to where I wanted it. So to make my understanding after researching it last weekend is the only way to alphabetize a section is this drop and drag method. Now, I've got these 7 sections that I've now alphabetized, and down here are all the pins that I haven't yet alphabetized. And I could do that by, let's see if I can do one here. Here's one that is these cute little dresses. And I think I have a dress section, yes. So if I want to move that into that dress section, I just do that same drop and drag. And that's how I would, and it's gone now from that main feed down below, and it's sitting in, it's not gone. Something didn't go right. I hate this because when I demonstrate it and it doesn't do what I want it to do. it should go away down below. There's also, I can also hit this edit button. Do you see when I hover over this pin, I get two buttons that pop up. One has this little pencil on it. That's the edit button. And one has what looks like an upload button. The edit button is allowing me to do what I want to do with the pin. The upload button is what allows me to share it. So was it Nancy? No, it wasn't Nancy. It was Nelda who said you were going to share things. Once you get the pin in, you share by hovering over it until you get that upload button. And that's where you would share it. So if I wanted to share this with one of my children, let's say I wanted to share it with Rachel, I just would hit this send button and she would get this and she would get a notification in her inbox that I've sent it. I could search my name. I could search for somebody that I wanted to send it here to, or I could share it. I could send it to Facebook from here if I wanted to. So that's how you share a pin, a specific pin. Now I'm going to go back over here to the edit button. And right now it sits in my general American Girl board. It's not in a section. If I want to put it in a section, I hit this down arrow and I want it in my dresses section. I click on dresses. I can put a note here like make this for Maddie. So that when I go back and look at it later, I remember that that's something that I want to make for my granddaughter. And then I hit save. And now it goes off of my generic board. And if I click on this dresses tab, it's going to be right at the top, right here. Okay. What questions do you have about this part of the board or the section?
Can you go over that again, how you moved that picture?
Yes. So I'm going to go back into American Girls. This is my, oh, poop. Sorry. Let me just back up here a minute.
Sarah, there's also an organized button under your name.
Yes, I can show you that.
Okay,
So-
I thought maybe that would alphabetize it.
It's not helpful when you're in the sections. It's helpful when you're in the big board, not helpful when you're in the sections. So I don't even know what compact means and I'm scared to press it. But these are your only two options with your, this is the organized button right here. Those are the only two options when you're in a section. Now I'll show you in the big board in a minute how it's different because that is where you organize it in the big board. Okay, so let's go.
But the word organize is underneath your name. There's three buttons there.
Yeah.
More ideas, organize.
I think you get the same.
Well, select and
so-
reorder pins. I think maybe now you could drag and drop. I don't know.
So I don't feel confident with this section because these are not my sections.
Oh,
So this section, now these are mine, but these are not. And so I don't know if it's just making recommendations here or what, but I don't use this function because these are not mine. Now, just for kicks and giggles, let me just click on one of these and it takes me back to my board, which is where I was before. So what I can't, let me go back and show you again what I did. So I've got a section called accessories. Let me find, here's something that I would consider an accessory right here. So why is it not? So I'm going to have to go back. So I think I'm still in that reorder thing and it's not letting me do what I want.
back arrow.
Yeah, let me just back up. Okay, here I am as me. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to pick a pin. Now my edit button comes up. And I'm going to move this tent into the accessory section. And I'm going to save it. And it moves it off my feed into that section. Nancy, it was you, right, that asked to see that again? Were you
No,
able to- It was
It
Nelda.
was me. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
That help? I've also, and I'm hesitant when I think I can drop and drag several at a time by holding that left mouse button and clicking on several things and moving it. I know when I was doing my big organization project, it allowed me to do that. All right, so let's go back. I want to go back to my American Girl in general. So I'm going to go back to here. Actually, I'll pick a different one that I know I've got some sections and that haven't organized yet. So let me see if I can find, let me go see if my crochet stuff is organized yet. It is in alphabetical order already. No, it's not. Okay, see how this section, this is my big board crochet, not my sections, my big board. And if I hit the organize button in here, so I've got, you can see I've got several sections and I've got multiple pins that I haven't organized yet. If I hit the organize button here, it allows me, dang. Now it's making a liar out of me. So when I did that, let me try it here. So last week when I hit that organize button, it popped up the ability for me to alphabetize it right there. And I don't know why that's gone. Let me just try it this way. Sorry, this is so embarrassing when this happens, and I don't understand why one week it is one way and the next week it's different. Obviously, it's operator error.
they could have changed the program. They're always doing that.
I hate that. Okay. Sorry, I am not going to be able to show you alphabetizing it from right here. Oh, there it is. This is where I can organize all of my sections A to Z when I'm in my very biggest piece of being me. So I can organize all of my boards A to Z. I cannot organize sections. There it is. You see that? Or I can say, oh, I don't want to do A to Z. I want to do drag and drop. Or I want to have them organized by the last one that I saved it to. So let me just click that for a minute so you can see what this does. So remember, I'm in my biggest file cabinet right now. If I hit this last save to, it's going to that I last used them. In other words, how I chronologically used them. So remember, I saved this morning to the tiny house thing by accident. That's showing us. And then after that, I pinned one to Pinterest Lake, and there's my all pins. That's what that one does. Now, if I go back here and I say, I only want to do drag and drop, it's only going to allow me to do the drag and drop that I was showing you. But my preference is A to Z. And it just reorganizes it. And when I go out, it leaves it how I've got it set. So that's where your three options are. Phew, all of a sudden I feel relieved. So you see that? All right.
So, so now if you go to American Girl, will the things within American Girl be alphabetized?
No. No, and when I was messing around, I switched something up, obviously, because it's when I go there now, I'm getting formal or costumes rather than my generic. There we go. So I can click on that. Oh, I forgot about this. What happens if I hit? Oh, it gives me that same thing. I can edit from right there. I can share from here. I can share the whole board. I can edit the whole board. I can merge with another board, or I could archive this board all from this 3 bubble spot right here. but that's going to do the whole board, not sections within the board. If I wanted more ideas to go in this file, I could click this and it's going to take me to Pinterest ideas on that. It takes me out of my board and into Pinterest ideas, and I've never used the notes function. Now we're down to 10 minutes left, and I want to show you one more thing that I think is really important, and that's this down arrow over here. With the down arrow, I could add another account. So like, for example, if I wanted to add my Get Set Up email account, I could do that here. If I wanted to convert it to a business account, like if I was going to do sales on Pinterest, I could do that here. I've never looked at this in detail. You can, remember I was telling you, you can customize it. That's where this tune your home feed comes in. But what I really want to show you is I want to show you the settings in here. So the settings allow me, this is where I changed it from an icon to my picture. This is where I can edit my profile. Remember, I have that quote in there. That's where that came from. My username is the first part of my personal email account. And if I if I go to then account settings, it gives you that information. Not a lot that's different there that you're probably not already familiar with. But if I go to this home feed tuner, I can do my history. I can look at boards. I can look at topics. I can look at profiles, or I can turn this off and it's not going to customize anything. So I'm going to go back to the settings. That was that home feed tuner. I don't know what Claim does. I can set up and in the notifications right here, I can set up whether I get notifications on my phone, whether I get email notifications, whether I get push notifications. But I don't want to leave here without showing you the privacy and the data piece. So here is where you can set up who sees your stuff and who doesn't, generically, big picture. And this is that another way that you can look at that personalization. So I've got it clicked on. That's why I'm getting Alcohol Inc. notifications when I open Pinterest up. It's because I've got this personalized so that what I search for, I get more of. That's that personalization spot. And then finally, we've got security. I could set this up so that I have to put in a phone pin every time I use this, and that's how I would use this security piece. Now, let me go back here. And let me go back to a board. So I'm going to click on my Alcohol Inc. board. And I'm going to hit edit the board. Right here, I get all kinds of information. So I could change what the cover of my board looks like. I could edit the name here. I could describe it if I wanted to. This is where I could click this, keep this board secret. So like Nelda, when you were talking about, you're going to take this trip, you could start by keeping your board secret while you're building it by clicking this keep your board secret. And then when you're ready to share it, you could click that off. I have all of my boards open because I don't mind sharing my stuff except for my gift giving board. And I have that one secret. So that's how you would make a board either public or not. And then look, here's that personalization piece again. Remember I showed you in the big account over on the left, but it's also when I want to edit a specific board, I can pop that up as well. And if I turn that off, I'm not going to get suggestions. And here is also where you delete the board. But once you delete it, notice it says, if you delete it, you can't undo it. You can also archive from here and you can merge from here. All right, I have given you so much information, and we've got about 7 minutes left. I want to leave this end of it for questions that you might have. What questions might you have? And you can unmute and ask, or you can type in the chat box. I'll try to look at both.
Is there a way to dedupe a board if you have the same pin selected twice And you've got
Yes.
so many pins, you don't know if it's duplicated or not.
If you see duplicates, that's where organizing it into sections within your boards is really helpful, because I can spot in a minute, you know, if I've got duplicates and I just delete one. I don't know that there's a way, I'm actually going to make a note. I don't know if there's a way that you can ask it if there's duplicates. Does anybody know? Like a query. I don't know if there's any way to query it. I just know that once I get it down into a section, it's a lot easier to manage.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
can delete. Okay, other questions?
Well, I've never heard of Alcohol Inc. before, so now I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I think I'm teaching that next week. It's actually called Chihuly Inspired Alcohol Ink on Glass is the official name of the class. And
Oh.
it came from Anna, another one of the guides, is doing like a tour of Chihuly glass art. And she asked me if there was a craft I could do along with it. And I said, oh yeah, I've been wanting to do this. It's a fun class.
Yeah.
Sarah, I have an example of the artwork.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes. That a close-up of that. I might be using a close-up of that in my class actually. That looks kind of like the one I've got a close-up of. His artwork is fabulous. Did you take the class, Carolyn?
I tried to take the class, but all I got was the notes.
Oh,
That was during the time we would get locked out if we came a certain time. So I did get the notes and I was able to go through that.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if Donna's still offering that one or not, but I'm still doing the Alcohol Ink one. What other questions do you have?
Yes. Can you record all of this information?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you have been with me in the class, if you email help@getsetup.io and say, I'd like a copy of Sarah's class on Pinterest from today, they'll send it to you and you can watch it again.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's a great question. Let me go over to my last slides here and just make sure I'm doing the proper closing. And then I'll stay on for a minute or two after the class is done in case you have any questions that I haven't yet answered. So, but let me just do my closing slides here for a hot minute. All right, so I want to thank you for being here. And we love it when you share your experience on social media, but also if you want to talk to someone at Get Set Up, Liz's job is to hear feedback. So you can email her at liz@getsetup.io. You can tell her things that you're enjoying. You can tell her things that are frustrating you. You can tell her classes that you might like to see offered. And she takes all of that information and gets it to the proper resources. Here's some related classes in my next classes that I'm doing. There's the Alcohol Ink one I was just mentioning, the Chihuly inspired alcohol ink painting on glass. I do some crocheting and knitting classes. I've got one coming up that's a kind of a self-help 10 thinking errors and how to overcome them. That's a kind of a fun one. After we get done today, I'm going to send you notes. If you're here with me in the class, you get these notes. If you scroll down in that email, you'll see this Give Feedback button. If you press on that Give Feedback button, this box pops up. And you can rate the session, like the content of the session. You can rate me, you can rate the guide. You can change my stars and the class's stars from 1 to 5. You can add a comment if you want to on the class. You can add a content. Add content on like how I did, and I read every word of this. I look for that to know how I can better. It's the virtual world is new for me. I've been a teacher for a long time, but the virtual world is new, and so I'm always looking for ways to improve and help you understand. And you can make suggestions right here for future classes. And not only do I read these, but there's a man at Get Set Up who's assigned to read every one of these that comes in. He accumulates those into a common site that we can all look at to see what classes we might be interested in developing next. So we really do value your feedback and hope that you do that. When you sign up for a class, invite a friend. We love it when you invite a friend because that's how we grow. And it's a great way to have some community time together. Here's that website that I mentioned, the email address that I mentioned. If you want to request a session recording, it's help@getsetup.io. You can also tell us about your organizations that you might belong to, and we'll reach out to them. As I said, you can suggest a new class. You can even host an interest group yourself. So, if that's something that you're interested in doing, let us know. And so that's my spiel for today. I'm gonna stop the share, and I'm going to stay on for anybody that has any last minute questions, or if you have any feedback, I would love to hear it. But otherwise, I've really enjoyed being with you this morning. Oh, did you see where I put in chat how to put your own pin? Oh, you found it, Phyllis. All right, I'm going to look at that, Phyllis, and I'm going to see, you go to your profile, hit the plus button, and then pin it and go from there, and they'll walk you through it. So I remember, if I got it right, Phyllis, on my profile page, where you saw my picture up at the top, right to the right, I think there was a plus button. Have I got the right spot? And that's where I would add my own pin.
Yes,
Thanks, Phyllis.
that's the right place.
Okay, I'm going to give that a try and see. So there you go. Is Nelda still with us? No, I think she's gone. Thanks, Phyllis, for looking that up.
I Google it.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments before I sign out?
I love the interaction because there's so much information about what you can do and things you're not thinking about. I thought about crafting, but I said, I'm not a crafter person, but there's so much information you can use from and glean from that. But it's very exciting. It really is for the little things I never think about.
Right. It really does inspire your thinking, right? And I can't tell you.
Oh, I'm talking on Zoom. Since you're on a break.
From being online. So it's a different world we live in. There's pretty much, you could do anything you ever wanted.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernest, for that comment. I appreciate that. All right, everyone. I'm going to sign off. We hope to see you again.